but not with who he begins to talk about. There is a problem with racism on a few somewhat well-known YouTube channels that I've had personal issues with. I am not about to go into details about who they are. If you guys can figure out who they are, good for you, but I'm not going to promote these people because I think they're assholes and racists.
Ooh, 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 Jacqueline, shots fired. Years after our initial encounter, she still calls me a racist? And what a weird thing that she won't even call me by name. We all know you're talking about me. Apparently, I'm an asshole and a racist. It reminds me of a comment I get over and over again, which is, "Hey Devin, I think you're an asshole, but you're not wrong. And why don't you go rewind the tape, Jacqueline, and please explain to me why you think I'm a racist?" I mean, I do this comically at this point. Obviously, I don't care about Jacqueline's opinion about me, but I use this as a symbolic gesture for everybody out there. Okay, so this is what you're never going to hear from people like Jacqueline. When they call you a racist, they want out of the conversation. That is their fatality move. Okay, it's, "You're a racist. Bye-bye." Now, if I came back with, "Jacqueline, why would you say that? What evidence do you have?" I've never lynched anybody that you can prove. I've said nothing racist, and what we are left with is the fact that I'm a white person talking about race. And that's all it takes. I guess it's down to her and Steve Shives. Those are the two people left that think I'm a racist. Oh boy. I wonder if I can overcome that. The bottom line is, she has no case against me. Her mind cannot contemplate that she's wrong and I'm right. And it's actually key that she thinks I'm an asshole. That's the key. You see, because that allows her to call me a racist. Why is he a racist? Well, I don't know. Just watch his videos. He's an asshole. That's how the game is being played.
And it's exactly what he says. They're willfully oblivious. They hate the fact that anyone could even come close to calling them racist.
Yeah, because we're not racists. I'm not a racist. I don't know a single person in the atheist community who is a racist. Imagine that. Not one. And I'm reading comments on Steve Shives' video. Look at it. Let me pull this thing up. Let me plop this out. Let me unfurl this comment. Okay, this guy, Brother Darkness, okay? Some guy with a Tupac icon, probably some fat blurred. Agreed, the atheist community has a racism problem, such as such as The Amazing Atheist, Cult of Dusty, Sargon, Thunderfoot, The Bible Reloaded, and AIU. Oh my God. First of all, none of us are racists. None. Hashtag none. But even if we were racist, how dare you lump us together? I would be the grand dragon of that group if we were racists. Because those people don't say jack shit about race and are barely honest. I've never heard Thunderfoot say a thing about race. The Bible Reloaded, are you kidding me? Those pasty fat pieces of Wonder Bread don't have a racist bone in their marshmallow bodies. In fact, they might. They might, but it would be towards white people. And if it was racism towards black, it would be condescending racism, much like you have, Jacqueline. Much like you have. Don't even bring up The Amazing Atheist, because that's embarrassing. I big brothered that homosexual into becoming less regressive on the topic of race. To the point where he literally got down on his fat knees and apologized to me, rightfully, for having called me a racist. During his attempt to fat night you, when I went after you, Jacqueline, and called you out for your hideous coverage of the Dylan Roof situation. Cult of Dusty is not a racist. Sargon is not. Sargon's black. He's a black man. I mean, blacks can be racist, but Sargon ain't. The guy goes, "They are all white supremacists." What? What? And then they have the audacity to say that we are willfully oblivious to our white supremacy? What? Yeah, great point, Steve and Jacqueline. Yeah, it's either we are willfully oblivious, or here's another one, you have absolutely no reason to say this. And in fact, we're not going to let you off, I'm not going to let you off easy. So that's why I'm making this video. It's not good enough to say, "Oh, Jacqueline, you're wrong." No, how dare you, Skeletor? How dare you accuse me of being a racist? Fuck you, woman. Oh, but I don't mean woman in a derogatory. No, I love women. Oh, women are amazing.
And if anyone does, they just say, "Oh, you have white guilt."
No, Jacqueline, first of all, you do have white guilt. But the larger point is you have no reason to call me a racist. You literally don't even build a case. It's to the point where just the word is it. Bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. I said a bird, bird, bird. I mean, we don't even get a throwaway line. Like, yeah, I mean, he's a racist. He's obviously a racist. He is a part of a racist group? No. He said something racist once? No. No. It's like nothing. There is nothing here. It's a cotton candy accusation. It melts in your mouth, not in your hands. I guess that would be an M&M accusation.
This is something that I have gotten so much of that I had to make a video about how I don't have white guilt, because so many people accuse me of having it for simply stating that we do have certain inequalities out there that still exist.
What? What, Jacqueline? Jacqueline, you have white guilt. See, she's so dumb, she thinks that white guilt is something you sign up for. Like, it's a checkbox. You wake up in the morning, you say, hey, do you want to be a member of the White Guilt Club? And she goes, no, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to do that, because why am I responsible for what slave owners did hundreds of years ago? I'm not them. So she understands it, but it's the emotional residual effect. That is the guilt. You are Dunning-Kruger white guilt woman. You don't even know that that's why you operate the way you do on the topic of race. I mean, don't ask me. Go look at the video she did about Dylan Roof, and then watch the one she did about Vester Flanagan. Two cases highly comparable. Okay, one with a black shooter, one with a white shooter, both racists. And look at her demeanor, look at her talking points, look at how she backed off calling Vester Flanagan a racist. And let me get back to the main point here. There are inequalities. Say that again.
So many people accuse me of having it for simply stating that we do have certain inequalities out there that still exist.
First of all, so many people accused you of it because it's true, because it's obvious. We're pointing it out to you. It's like friendly neighborhood advice. And what inequalities do we have, Jacqueline? Again, a statement, an allegation without any backing. Nothing. Baby don't have back. It applies to her. What inequalities? The civil rights movement sort of handled a lot of this. What else is there? What are you talking about? Let me tell you what she's talking about. She's referring to crime. So there's inequality in crime. Yeah, so there are more black criminals and victims per capita, but they're victims of black crime. And so that's an inequality, the same way that blacks not being able to vote was an inequality, or blacks drinking from a separate water fountain. No, it's not. That's not an inequality. There are no inequalities. Now, they don't want to hear that. Oh, there are inequalities of outcome, of economic standing, not with opportunity, though. So what the is your point?
And this goes back to taking that middle ground. If you say, hey, I don't think white people should feel responsible for the sins of their ancestors.
Ooh, ew. Did you see how violent that quotation was? She's like, quotes. Oh, Jacqueline, you're so nuanced. You are just the queen of the middle ground. You see, I am so thoughtful that I take arguments from both sides and then I straddle them. And I'm somewhere in the middle because I know how to gauge everything. And I'm just dead center. Here I am. Here's the right way to think.
But I do think that there are certain inequalities between the races that still exist today, and we should talk about it.
Did you just make the same allegation without a single reference to anything that you're actually talking about? Yes, you did. What inequalities? What are you talking about? And by the way, accusations of racism towards white people, what does that have to do with inequality? Is this like puppeteered by some grand white dude? Is Mitt Romney just pulling the levers behind some closed door somewhere, saying fuck blacks? I mean, what a pathetic, loose allegation that is. Limp-dicked. And she does this to virtue signal. Hey, I really care about blacks and I want equality. Well, so do we, Jacqueline, but what the fuck are you talking about? You haven't said anything. Get back to plagiarizing. At least you sounded smarter when you were ripping off content from somebody else.
That pisses off the people that feel like even admission of inequality is the equivalent of white guilt.
Again, she just says it. Okay, if you say it, it's true. It's almost like she lives in the world of Harry Potter. Leviosa. Okay, magic. Something just Leviosa'd because I said it. You're a racist. What? Yep, raciosa. You're a racist. Boom. No evidence needed. Mic drop. Later. Blacks suffer inequalities. What? Inequalityosa. Goodbye.
And I'm not the only one who's had to deal with this type of thing. TJ's had to deal with it too.
She brings up TJ like he's some role model. Oh my God. Especially on the topic of race. And this is so priceless because she goes back to a video from like a year ago, right in the aftermath of me and TJ arguing about this issue, right after this. And the video is called White Guilt. I think it's called like White Guilt No or something. TJ put it out, and he said the most ludicrous things in this video. I ripped that video to shreds. Maybe it's up on the archive channel. I'll give a link if it is. But the man was a verifiable pussy hole on the topic of race at that time, before I so kindly and nobly took time out of my day to educate that fat turd. I love you, TJ. You're amazing, dude. You're the amazing atheist.
He's made numerous videos about racial issues in America and how he thinks that they're wrong. And yet he is accused of having white guilt.
Jacqueline, he admits he has white guilt. Oh, not anymore. Now he's coming out of his shell, like the fat tortoise that he is. But back in the day, back in the video you're about to reference, he has a video called Me Having a Moment of White Guilt. Go on the TJ Does Life channel and just type in white guilt. He's talking about his white guilt right there. Jesus, it's not hard. It is not hard to figure this out.
And he's also accused of being racist.
No, he was accused of having white guilt when he had white guilt. And then a year later, when I yanked him out of his regressiveness on the topic of race, he was then called a racist by Steve Shives and a variety of other SJW bitches who will never debate live, who will never give any reasons for their accusation, and who simply mutter into their microphone raciosa and then leave it at that.
It's like the same problem that I have with feminism. I'm not feminist enough for the extreme feminists, and if I even mention women's rights, I'm called a radical feminist by people who are anti-feminist. TJ has the same problem, but with race.
Oh God, Jacqueline, you're such a tortured artist, aren't you? You just navigate all the issues so good. So well.
He's somehow simultaneously accused of having white guilt and being racist. It's amazing.
It's not simultaneous, and that's the point. And it's coming from different people. So an SJW called him a racist. I never did. I defended him, and still do to this day. TJ is not a racist. If anything, I'll say it again, back when he had white guilt, back when he was hiding and putting his head in the sand on this, he was racist towards whites and condescendingly racist towards blacks. But we all know that's not the kind of racism you're talking about, right?
Go internet.
Because why would anyone think that the white guy who makes a virtue out of publicly not giving a shit about black people was a racist? It's ridiculous.
Is that how you characterize it, Steve? You shit. Virtue. Virtue. That's my new one, man. I don't know. I don't think I like it. I just went to it again, but I don't like it. Let me give it traditional. Virtue. Virtue, where are you? Okay. Steve, make a virtue out of not giving a shit about black people. Ironically, us criticizing the real problems in their community and holding them responsible, very key, is giving a shit about them and their community. He thinks that the way to, quote, give a shit about their community is to hand out gold stickers. Hey, blacks, you did great today. So sorry about slavery, but you're really making progress. Try to get out of those slums and ghettos you live in. Try getting a job. Try having a family. Try raising your children. And try to stop committing crimes. No, I'm not going to mention any of that. Boo-hoo to whites. And aren't those cops nasty because they do their jobs and arrest criminals? Yeah, you guys have it so bad. If I had the money, I'd buy you a luxury ticket on a yacht back to Africa. So sorry, guys. Let's let bygones be bygones, though. Look at this graphic here. So ridiculous. Did he make this? He must have made that. A YouTube atheist reacts to racism. What? How is that a reaction? First of all, I go after racists. What you don't like is that I'm going after the ones that don't usually get gone after. That sentence could never be correct, but I'm keeping it in. I go after white people who are racist towards whites and condescendingly racist towards blacks. How interesting is it for me to go after a neo-Nazi? Or to say, hey, I'm against racism and here's a white guy who's racist. Okay, great, we know it. I go after black people who are racists. I'm against racism, Steve. That's your problem. Now, the second image, a YouTube atheist reacts. By the way, you owe the Fine Brothers $1,000 to people thinking he's racist. Yeah, it is kind of annoying when you're not a racist and people accuse you of it without any merit. It's kind of a public character assassination. Yeah, maybe that's a bit irksome. Don't you think?
He doesn't. He just simply does not do that. He's made so many videos in support of the black community, talking about how there are injustices that we need to address.
Oh yeah, ask TJ about those injustices. Unbelievable. I mean, TJ is not a finished product, don't get me wrong. He says stupid shit all the time. But I think you might want to have another convo with him, Jackie.
You know, he's stood up against racism and misogyny.
He doesn't stand up for anything. He sits down. He squats on his layers of fat.
On numerous occasions. So saying stuff like that, you know, it's just not fair.
See the fucking culture they live in and actually understand them as human beings instead of just as, here's some statistics I can fucking throw at you.
Look at TJ all pompous. This was, okay, obese Jesus right here was talking about see them as human beings. Okay, once again, just insulting. So if we talk about real crime stats and we're getting real about who is committing the crimes, he throws out the straw man, you're not even considering them human beings. Hey, everybody, I'm TJ and I think blacks are humans. Aren't I great? Love me, world, love me. Fucking embarrassing. And Jacqueline highlights that. That spoke to Jacqueline. Jacqueline's like, yeah, I agree. Black people are humans. Hey, Jacqueline and TJ, we know they're humans. We didn't have to say it because it was never up for debate. It was in your mind, though. Very interesting. Wow, you tried to leverage your stance on whether or not blacks are humans and get brownie points for that. Oh, dear God. I see through that. Maybe your minions don't. I did.
What about these statistics over here that show that they are persecuted by the police more?
See, TJ doesn't even believe this anymore. Okay, TJ would cringe at this himself. In fact, when he came on my podcast, I quoted him from that video. Later in that same video, he says, guess what? White people commit just as many crimes as black people. They just get away with it more.
And all these I'm not racist, who I wish would just admit that they are racist, because at least then there would be some fucking consistency to the narrative. They all want to say, look at all the crimes black people commit. White people commit just as many fucking crimes. I'm sorry, but white people in America commit just as many fucking crimes. They just get away with it more because they're fucking white. Don't believe me? Take a fucking step outside and open your fucking eyes, you piece of shits. All of you.
That was his stance on crime. Okay? Just repugnantly stupid and cowardly and wrong, obviously completely false. So I love it in his statement. He goes, so you come at me with all these stats about crime and stuff, but what about these stats over here? Like, hey, everybody, walk over here, look over here. I hear you on problem A. What about problem B, C, and D? I hear you mentioning a problem. Let me talk about something else. And he waddles and tap dances his fat ass over to a new topic. It's not working, TJ. Or Jacqueline. And did he say persecuted by police? Fucking ridiculous. The court system is fair to them. These fucking Neanderthals look at a stat and say, black people are in jail more. That doesn't seem fair. The court systems are unfair to them. No, you fucking ignorant dipshit. You are incorrect.
And it has nothing to do with white guilt to fucking say that black people in America get a raw deal.
A raw deal. A raw deal. What raw deal? They don't. I love it. He goes, it's not about white guilt, and then follows it with the sentence, laced in white guilt, excusing the criminal behavior of this entire population. Oh, by the way, the entire population within the black community who commit crimes. Not all. Not all.
Hang on, I'm not done. Number 3, it has a religious bigotry problem too.
So, okay. Oh my God. What a cluster.
Hey everybody, it's me, Edward Jones, back with a new video. His will. I'm making this video in response of the tragedy that happened at Seattle Pacific University. It's a small Christian college. I'm looking up here at the title, and as I was going through some of the news stories that came up, I came across this article on the Christian Post, and it's titled Seattle Pacific University Professor on Shootings. This is not God's plan. This is not God's will. See, there's a quote from a professor there. I'll include the link in the description box. It says, "There's no explaining it. This is not God's plan. This is not God's will. This is not God's way of teaching us a lesson. Any lesson we could have learned out of this could have been learned otherwise." Now, I have issue with that quote. You think that coming from a Christian college, they would have known some things from the Bible that proves that to not be the case. And if this comes off as being preachy, so be it. You know, I get sick and tired of seeing these type of tragedies happen. You know, it doesn't matter the age, doesn't matter the body count, doesn't matter the injury. You know, I hate seeing it. I hate seeing this kind of stuff happen. The big reason why, and for one thing, you know, I'm not making light of this tragedy. You know, someone died, several people are injured, a lot of people are devastated from what happened. But I want to get, you know, some facts need to be looked at. When saying that this is not God's will, that's, you know, and that you could have learned, that this lesson could have been learned otherwise. No. One of my favorite books, in the Bible, is the Book of Judges. And in the Book of Judges, you read about it. This is the one, you know, that has mentions, and a lot of you may not even read the Bible. You know, you're pretty sure you heard of Samson. It was called the Judges because there were 12 judges that served with the Israelites, that were you know, they whether it was militarily or handling disputes, they served the Israelites in a capacity that you know, it could be looked at as being a judge. And something that was done was, if you read the Book of Judges, you'll notice that there's a period where, well, what happens is the Israelites, you know, they follow God, they follow His ordinances, they follow His laws, they had their faith in them. But then as time went on, they stopped. They started to slip, and they stopped, and they became idolaters. And so God punished them for their rebelliousness, and so He allowed them to be you know, taken captive or enslaved by the enemy, because they were surrounded by enemies, and He allowed them to